My name is Sarah Broomwood, Chair of the Natural Resources Commission, and I'm calling this public meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Tonight's NRC meeting will be a hybrid in-person and Zoom meeting. We have a microphone set up on the commission table and plans will be projected through the TV monitor. If you're presenting via Zoom, please turn on your audio and microphone when it's time for you to speak. Following the presentation by the petitioner and questions from the commission, members of the public will have the opportunity to ask questions and provide public comments. Please identify yourself with name and address for the record. You can also raise your hand from your phone by dialing *9 and use *6 to unmute. All video screens will be turned off with the exception of any commissioners attending virtually and the current petitioner. Once the commission has acted on an application, the petitioner is free to leave the meeting. In the event of any technical difficulties, all matters on the agenda that have not been heard will be automatically continued to the February 18th meeting. Please note that this meeting is being recorded, and at this time I would ask the commissioners to introduce themselves.
Kevin Smith, Bill Cameza,
Ed Nardi, Ben Niels.
Janet Miller.
Malcolm Bryant.
Thank you very much. We have quite a busy agenda today. As always, we'll start with public comment. This is limited to up to 10 minutes with no more than 2 minutes allocated to any one speaker. And public comment is limited to items that are not on the agenda. And I'm thinking there's a few people here for the Waters Pond agenda item. We'll take public comment when we get to that agenda item on that topic. Do we have any other topics for public comment? No. Okay, moving on. We thought we had some meeting minutes to approve, but we're moving this to the next meeting. And do we have any commissioner comments tonight? No?
No.
Okay, so we'll hand over to Delia for the director's update, please.
So the first thing on my update for you is that, as you know, the commission issued a permit for a vegetation management plan, the 5-year plan to Massport to manage their obstructions within the airspace. We received a couple of complaints about the work that had been occurring out there, and so Rose and I went out there with Massport and the consultant to review the complaints. And essentially, I think what had happened, if you could pull up those photographs, and they have an area, they have several areas that they're managing trees, and that's by removal of trees, girdling of trees, topping of trees, and other strategies that they're using. And they had an area that was directly north of Gaining Ground that was an approved area of tree removal. And they had intended to come through Gaining Ground as they had done previously to do the tree removals, and they were not able to do so. So this is an area that was approved for tree removal. And instead of coming through Gaining Ground, which you can see in the background of that photograph, what they did was they came off the end of runway 11, where there was an existing trail.
Another trail.
You know, that sort of 4 to 5 foot plus or minus wide trail. They came from that trail and they cleared, and they removed a bridge
I know the,
that the committee had constructed with approval of that. So maybe you can just go through.
So the area they cleared is not the area that was approved.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And they did not reach out, as they should have done,
Right.
to say that they couldn't do the access that they had proposed and had been approved. And so this is the work that they had done to cleared some, small to large trees and a number of saplings. If you keep going with those photographs, you can see. So they basically created a road for the equipment to be able to come through. And that's so that was the trail. And I don't recall what the actual width of the trail was, but I'm going to say it was a 5 foot.
5 feet would be about right. Not
Right.
much, it was often overgrown or close to the.
Right. So looking in that direction is at the end of runway 11 is to the right. And there is a fairly wide road
Yeah.
that ties into. So we did walk that with the consultant and Massport representatives, and they're gonna, we asked them to put in erosion controls, not in this particular area, but back where the you can see the
Bridges.
bridge in the,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so yes, around the bridge and up towards the area where the trees have been removed. Which they have done, and they will be preparing a restoration plan to replant that area. So
so do we give them a violation letter or anything for this?
I mean, we've spoken with them and we've
Right.
told them what they need to do. They're
Right.
complying, so I don't think that.
I mean, this is obviously a huge concern, but my
Yeah.
big concern is that they clearly don't come to us when they're supposed to. There's a history of that, right?
With Massport?
This isn't the same. Oh, okay, so I'm getting
No, it's
confused with
right.
the trained people.
No, it's not.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
it's different
okay,
from
so
the
this is
trained
different.
people.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you. I
yeah,
thought it was the same.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Too many acronyms. Okay.
Right. So if we don't get what we've requested, and we have a meeting scheduled with them in mid-February to review the restoration and help them develop that plan.
Right.
And I
Okay.
think we would.
And then
move
we'll go
forward.
forward. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Then the second thing on my list is that GPI, who is the consultant working with the town, Elizabeth Hughes in the planning department on the Assabet River pedestrian bridge.
Yeah.
So that is going through a Mass DOT 25% design review. And as part of that, there's a required early coordination process. And so they have reached out to the Natural Resources Commission asking for comments.
Okay.
And the one thing that I was going to let them know, and they are, I mean, I think they're aware of this, but let me just get to my screen to share this. As the commission is aware, there are 2 conservation restrictions. So on the bottom of the screen, down here is the commuter rail bridge. Over here is 300 Baker Ave. And over here is Concord Park. And the hatches are conservation restrictions, one associated with Concord Park and the other associated with 300 Baker Ave. And in order for the bridge to be constructed, both conservation restrictions allow for the construction of a pedestrian footbridge. But what is now being proposed is a multimodal,
Yeah.
so pedestrian and bicycle bridge. And so the CRs will need to be amended. Both of those conservation restrictions will need to be amended.
Can you show on that map, Delia, roughly where that bridge would be?
So really, it's very close to the alignment of the commuter rail.
Is it, oh, really? That close? I thought
Yeah.
it was further back. Yeah.
No, this was the narrowest point.
Okay.
And that's what is required in terms of the crossing.
Okay.
So there were 3 alternatives that were looked at. There was another one here,
okay,
and then
yeah.
another one closer to the confluence of Neshoba Brook with the Assabet River. But
Well, I like it down there because it does less to bifurcate the natural area. So
exactly,
Yeah, that's good.
exactly.
that shows.
The national, the Wild and Scenic Rivers, the Stewardship Council was also interested in that. And then from a floodway perspective, there's that has the least environmental.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Perspective. But if there are other comments that the commission has that they would like to provide as part of that early coordination.
Have you sent us this?
I just received a hard copy of it in the mail,
Okay.
so I can scan this and send this to you,
Yeah, that'd be good. Thank you.
and so you can take a look at that.
So of course, to the rail bridge, I'm not sure it's important as much as I thought it would be. There are lights on this bridge. Are they gonna be, they're gonna be on all the time, or is that an issue for us?
On the pedestrian bridge,
On the pedestrian bridge.
I think that's a comment that could be made, that they
Okay.
should be wildlife friendly and that they should not be on.
Yeah,
those-
it's really well lit,
Or-
that whole, if I remember correctly, the drawings I had seen. Isn't it?
We haven't seen, for this, we haven't seen drawings.
We saw some from Taurus, right, that led up to the bridge previously, but with no bridge yet to be defined, right?
Right, we haven't seen any lighting.
I know where I saw it. They had brought something before the CPC.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay.
That's where it was.
okay,
Yeah,
yeah, no, lighting is definitely a concern. I mean,
Yeah,
this
I
is
mean,
not
it's
a
just
lit
about-
area now, and it's a,
pretty well lit bridge going across there.
Yeah.
At least at the design, we had seen it.
That might be a good comment to make then, even if
Yeah,
it's not
yeah.
clear in the plans, it's that they,
yeah.
okay, thank you.
Are you taking any?
Yes, so,
Well, I just know there's a lot of conversation, about.
The name and address.
Oh, Anna Feldway, 340 to the Commonwealth Avenues. There were a lot of comments to the WCAC about it being safe to walk, to traverse at night. And so people were asking that there be light at night and that they be facing downwards to minimize port light.
okay, thank you, Anna. Yeah, I mean, it'll be important the type of lighting they use, the bulb, yeah. Okay, good to know, thank you.
And the final thing that I have is just on the drought status. And
Have enough snow.
as of January 12th, 2026, drought conditions have worsened in the Northeast region to a level 2 significant drought. See what happens with the. with
It's
the
a lot of
business.
snow, but it's not much water, is it? It's so cold, that's probably,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, if we get good, thaw conditions and it infiltrates, then that will help. Yeah. That's it for me.
Thank you. Okay, so let's start with, we have two applications to be opened and continued. Just could I have a motion, please?
I move that we open and continue to February 18th, 2026, with open the hearing and continue February 18th, 2026 without discussion. The abbreviated notice of resource area delineation for 143 Everett Street, DEP file 137-1730. And I guess I'll do them both.
Yeah.
And the notice of intent for 287 Westford Road, DEP file 137-1728.
Second.
Thank you. And the vote, please, Jim?
Aye.
Aye.
Right.
Thank you very much. And can I have a motion for
This was
February 18th?
yeah,
We're not opening it first.
without opening.
Yeah.
So I move that we continue to February 18th, 2026 without discussion. The following two items, I guess, the notice of intent for 874 Barrett's Mill Road. DEP file 137-1719 and the violation enforcement order of Walsh 150 Garfield Road, DEP file 137-1524.
I second that.
Thank you very much. And vote, please, Jim?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving on. We have 4 new applications to be heard this evening. We're going to start with an RDA for Minuteman National Historical Park at 474 Barrett's Mill Road, RDA file 2522. Who do we have to represent this?
Hello, I am online. I have a couple slides. Can I share my screen?
Please do.
And who are you?
Yeah, my name is Rachel Vincent, and I am the biologist at Minuteman National Historical Park. Currently, it says host has disabled attendee screen sharing.
You should be, I just gave you permission.
All right, let's try now. Can we try one more time? It's still giving me the same pop-up. Ooh,
So now,
maybe now. That looks like a different screen. Awesome. All right. I am only working on one screen, so it'll take me just a quick second to get the right one. If you can bear with me just a quick moment. Okay, are you seeing the presentation or are you seeing yourselves?
we're seeing the
I'm seeing the
presentation.
presentation.
Wonderful. Okay. So based on the way my screen is sharing, I can't see you or anything. So if there's any questions, please feel free to stop me. So hi everybody, my name is Rachel Vincent. I am the biologist at Minuteman National Historical Park with the National Park Service. Giving a brief overview of the 474 Barrett's Mill Road project. This is Concord parcel 1986-3. This parcel was recently acquired by Minuteman National Historical Park, and in the backyard of the house, there is an in-ground pool and a concrete pad, like kind of / basketball court. So it's a concrete pad as the base. And we are looking to remove the pool and the concrete pad. Just a couple quick overview maps to kind of set where we are in place. So on the left, 474 is the parcel that my cursor is over now. And just for reference, 448, just next door, is the Colonel Barrett house. And then zooming in a little bit more, you can see the house itself here at 474. And in the background in this aerial, you can see the pool and the concrete pad here. So a little bit of background, as I'm sure most folks know, most of the area was previously used as agricultural fields, and as part of that, there was an agricultural ditch that was stretching from east to west directly north of what is now the house. The house was constructed in the 70s, and the pool was built around 80-81 based on the records that we have. And the pool and concrete pad were built directly on top of what had historically been the agricultural ditch, and that was after the town approvals, of which documentation we were able to find most, if not all of that. In terms of the wetland conditions, the historical agricultural ditch has been greatly modified over time. The Commission was able to do a field visit recently, and so I just wanted to kind of capture what they shared with me, and that is that there is still an isolated wetland to the east, determined in 2006 to be too small to be considered an isolated land subject to flooding. And to the west, there is a remnant ditch that may project a 100-foot buffer zone onto portions of the proposed work. And thus, with that site visit, this request is being considered as part of the 100-foot buffer zone. I also wanted to share, they're not going to come across super well here, but they were submitted as part of our application package, that we were able to find some of those original pool installation diagrams from 1980. And so again, these won't be able to show up super well on the screen, but we found those original documents from the town of Concord, and they have all of the dimensions and everything associated with the pool itself. So as an overview of the removal project, it's currently written in a demolition contract, which is in draft right now and open for some edits. I haven't included the full draft contract language here because it's very lengthy, as you can imagine, but we did send it over email on January 21st, and I have an overview in the next slide. But this map here kind of shows the general concept with the house, the pool, the concrete deck, not super to scale here, and the buffer, the wetland that's designated on this map is based on the Concord GIS layers from the original ditch, not necessarily showing the actual current conditions of what it was translated to when the pool, when the ditch was modified. So as, without reading everything on here word for word, the overview for the removal of the pool, handling permitting for wetland compliance, building or demolition permitting, prepare the as-built drawings and the pre-demo photos, install the erosion controls and safety fencing around the perimeters of the project, and then removing topsoil from the pool perimeter around it to stockpile on site to use later. There's electric, gas, and water lines associated, so capping those, and then the actual removal of the pool and concrete decking, removing all of those things associated with it, and those will be removed via dumpster or dump truck. And then we'll fill the hole that's left with clean fill and compact that, and then we'll bring back that topsoil that had been stockpiled and grade the site toward an existing drainage swale, and then we'll close out the permits. And that's a super quick overview of that project. I'll stop sharing my screen.
Actually, please, could you go back to the
Sure.
plan? I think that would
This one, sure.
useful for a minute, if you could share that.
Yeah,
again.
absolutely.
Thank you.
And we have a lot more detail that was sent in an email, but the lengthy contract wording didn't feel necessary to dive into all of the super specifics here.
Are you
But
sharing?
again,
I'm sorry, we can't see Rachel.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I thought I still was. That's
Thank
part
you.
of the problem with
I really have a clarifying question, just so that we're all on the same.
Sure. Sure.
If you go to
Okay.
7, could you go
Sorry
up
about that.
to 7 to the slide before this?
Yep.
Thank
This
you.
one?
Thank you.
Yes,
So,
sorry
okay,
about that.
So you said that the wetland designations on here
Yep.
are what's in the town GIS, but town staff went out and determined it was all 100 foot.
It was
Or
already
equivalent.
determined in 2006. and
Okay, so
We
we're
did,
sticking
we
with
did
that.
our usual site visit anyway.
Right.
There's still signs of, it being wet and not other,
Mhm.
the lines that are like on here to the left. It's kind of off the screen, but
Okay.
Yeah.
so the ones closest to the project that make it look like it's in a wetland itself.
Okay.
Is not accurate.
Okay, I wanted to clarify that because if it was 25 foot area, we usually don't allow any piling in that area. But we don't have to worry about that because
Right.
it's not 25, it's just misleading. Okay. Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions? From the commission?
This is a brief question. Are you planning to demolish the house?
At this time, that's not part of this project. We're still kind of determining exactly what the long-term plans are for the rest of this parcel, but the pool is really a safety concern. We don't want, folks falling into an in-ground pool as we decide what we're doing with the rest of the parcel. Yeah.
Any comments from the commission? No. Are there any public comments on this application? No one with a hand up? No. Okay, so thank you, Rachel. It's very clear. We don't have concerns then, and we have a recommendation.
Sure.
I'd like to take it.
I'll move that for 474 Barrett's Mill Road, application RDA file 25-22 to issue a negative determination number 3 with the following conditions. 1, prior to the commencement of the work, the applicant should hold a pre-construction site visit with the DNR staff and the contractor to review the proposed work. And 2, once the project has been completed, the applicant shall submit a letter to the NRC confirming that work has been completed in accordance with the RDA and noting any changes, if any.
Second.
Thank you, Ed. On the vote, please, Jim.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Thank you very much, Rachel, but
She's still there.
I know you're up next, so.
I am also up next.
So let's move
I'm
on to, this is for an RDA file, number 25-23, again for Minuteman National Historical Park. But this is at 235 and 28 Monument Street.
Yes. All right. I'm going to go back to my screen sharing. All right. Hello again. I'm still Rachel Vincent with the National Park Service at Minuteman National Historical Park. So as a quick introduction to this project, some very, very brief background. The National Park Service has something called the Resilient Forest Initiative Project that was started a handful of years ago. It's relatively recent. And that project is intended to address low forest regeneration due to factors including high invasive plant presence, as well as a number of other factors. Minuteman is just one of many parks along the northeast and eastern part of the United States overall who are part of this. As that overall project, the planning and organization is mostly through a company called the Forest Steward Guild, as well as a lot of heavy park and the regional guidance as well. So all of this is kind of going through all of those aspects. And these, just for reference, are Concord parcels 1269 and 1270. So for some reference, for overview, we are looking down at, and I'll have closer maps in a moment, parcels down here 235 and 20A. For reference, the North Bridge is right up here, just a bit to the north. The NPS Visitor Center, National Park Service Visitor Center, is across the bridge. The to the north is the Old Manse, owned by trustees, and to the south of these parcels is the Reformatory Branch Trail. So for current conditions of these areas, they're kind of wet meadow forested areas. The site visits to the area show really high density of standing dead and dying ash trees, as well as high density of invasive vegetation, both on the ash trees and in the understory. Many of the ash are engulfed by completely tangled in invasive bittersweet vines and other invasives. And the park overall has experienced a high amount of falling ash in various locations throughout the park, not only in this area, but throughout the park. We've been seeing this for a number of years. And to protect workers as we work through this area, the dead ash will be felled, and where feasible, we're hoping to leave them as wildlife snags as long as we're able to access the rest of the area without danger of dead trees falling on us. In terms of the wetland condition, at the 235 Monument Street, the larger northern parcel, the western boundary of that is an offshoot of the Concord River itself that travels north to south. So the western, about 2 to 2.5 acres, are considered part of that 200-foot riverfront area. And then there's a small stream or wet depression stretching kind of through the middle from west to east. And you can see some of that here in these layers. Again, this parcel here is 235, and then the slightly smaller one down here is referred to as 20A. And then this area circled with the points is the area that we're specifically focusing on for the dead ash. So you can see that a little bit closer here.
Look at this. Just one second, Rachel. I want to see exactly where this is. Is that right?
Do you want me to go back to the last one, or is this?
Yeah, just go back one. That's the Reformatory Branch Trail coming along. So it's just above the Reformatory Branch. Okay, got it.
And then this is a little mostly somewhat accessible trail.
I've done that trail many times. It's wet.
From the Old Manse to the Reformatory Branch. Yep.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions so far?
No, but before we carry on, please can I ask Henry and the person called there to turn off their videos, since they're not part of this application? A little distracting. Thank you.
All right. So again, this is just a closer view. These trees were we were out there on a not windy day, doing some mapping of the areas that felt like could be very dangerous for worker safety and any wind at all, working through this area with very high densities of dead and dying ash and entangled with bittersweet vines. So as an overview to the work, in that circle that I just showed, we're planning to remove approximately 40 standing dead and dying ash. Again, that's the easternmost part of those parcels as a whole. We're planning to leave the material on site as coarse woody debris. And the goal is to get the trunks to lie flat. So if there is still a canopy that hasn't broken as it comes down, and that can be run through a wood chipper so it lies flat and isn't kind of taking up that space. If feasible, we're hoping to leave trees that have a greater than 50% live canopy cover. For example, they're not dead yet, or they're not totally dead. And also, where feasible, we're hoping to leave some of those dead trees as standing snags for wildlife, so that it would just be topped instead of fully felled to the ground. That will be based on conditions in the moment, based on the machinery access and being able to get in there and where we expect to be working, so that we're not in danger of those trees then falling later. And the goal is for this work to be done, honestly, as soon as possible based on the frozen conditions, because we feel like that will have the least amount of ground and wildlife disturbance to do it in the winter months. Eventually, later stages after the ash trees are removed will be to remove the dense woody invasive thickets using manual work and selective mulcher and mastication equipment. We expect there to be kind of a resurgence of some invasive plant regrowth. And based on our experience working throughout the rest of the park, we are expecting that and know that there will be multiple follow-up treatments of targeted herbicide and manual work to control that regrowth. And after a couple years of that invasive management, there is the exciting part of this, which is revegetation with seeding, native trees, and native shrubs. Now, there had been a question in advance about the number of trees to be planted. The exact number will definitely be determined as those first steps are processed and once we really have a better understanding of what is coming back after the invasives and after the ash trees are down. But in terms of other parks that have been doing some of this work, our proposed planting density is in the 100 to 200 trees per acre. That will be, trees and shrubs, but separately, there's also probably going to be seeding with various mixes for this forest regeneration. With about 40 of those ash trees to be topped or removed and a larger area treated for invasives, we're really looking at hundreds of trees to be replanted here. And we do have some of the suggested species that have been part of this larger scale project as we have been working with the Forest Guild and regional staff as suggested species. And I think that's that. And again, this was one of the questions in advance that we are looking at this point. And the final determinations of exactly what that looks like will be based on those later stages after this first round is done. Are there any questions?
Thank you. I have a comment and a question. So I know in your written submission, you said that you were going to be using foliar spray for the newly emerging shoots. I just wanted to clarify for everyone, we don't normally like that, but in this situation, staff felt that it was kind of the best choice. It's not ideal. Chipping bittersweet isn't ideal, but then if you want to say any more to that, Delia.
Well, I think the condition that's out there, they want to go in and manage the ash. They're covered in bittersweet. Right. It is an unsafe condition. If you go out there and look at the trees, and I don't think you could go out there and remove the bittersweet without causing damage or concern for the safety of the workers.
Yeah.
So we thought that the trees should just come down and be mulched along, with the vines, which obviously is ideal because then it's creating a condition of regrowth with the sprouts. But because it's such a dense infestation, Commission, as you said, doesn't normally permit foliar spray because it is so dense. And they have a good approach to manage this. I think it's really the only way that you can move forward to have this be a successful forest regeneration.
Okay. And then the other piece I was thinking about is usually when people are taking down trees and then mitigating with other native shrubs, we usually have a very exact plan of how many trees, where they are, what's going on. Obviously, this is more of a holistic approach because it kind of depends on the situation. But will there be any checking along the way, or I mean there's a huge amount of trust here, which I'm not against, but I just was interested in your thinking on that.
Again, I think because it's the Park Service, and we're working with the biologist and the landscape program. Marty, I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher your title, but both qualified personnel. I think that the commission could include a condition if you wanted some interim reporting along the way. What we have right now is just recommendation that it's the pre-construction and then the post work letter that follows up. But if you want to include something that says, after the first year, we check back in on a staff.
I would like some guarantee that the native material, I mean, I know it states there's some, great material and it states it will go back in.
Right.
But, you know, I don't feel we have any protection if suddenly priorities go in a different direction and it doesn't happen.
Mhm.
So I would like to see something in there now.
Along, like an annual report or something in terms of progress or status or?
Well,
We
we,
could do an annual walkthrough, right? So-
yeah, maybe,
Mhm.
because we don't even have in writing how many shrubs and things are going back in, do we? It kind of, I mean, it's clearly going to be a lot.
Mhm.
And that, again, there's a lot of trust here. I trust that that will happen, but I just feel as a commission, we should be making sure that we're planning for any eventuality.
Or even an interim step where we get an inventory of what's been removed and potentially
And then what's
a
going,
plan for what's
that's a good
going in.
idea.
That's
Yeah,
quite simple, I like that.
I like that
Yeah.
as well. Yeah, so we know what's come out and then
Going in.
what's going to be going in. Yeah, that's probably more time efficient as well. Thank you.
And that would be on an annual basis, Sarah?
Why would it be? Why would it be? Once the trees are planted, why would we have it on an annual basis?
I'm just saying because they're talking about 2 or 3, 4
Yeah,
year.
so-
That's all.
Okay.
Yeah, it's essentially a 3-year process.
Okay,
Yeah,
all
why not?
right.
Yeah.
I have another question for Rachel. Rachel, does this list changed as far as you can tell because of the changing climate? Are you moving more trees up that have been trees from south up to north in your plan?
Sure, great question. The way that current NPS management policies are written is that we're trying to focus on species that already exist in the park landscapes, and this is across like National Park Service and like natural resource management as a whole, not just this project. So they're generally written to kind of keep species that are already in the park instead of introducing new ones to a region. If you're not able to have that, the next best thing is species that are nearby, but not necessarily found in the park historically. And then the next best is species that will generally do well in the area, but aren't necessarily found nearby. So this current list doesn't necessarily address kind of bringing southern species up higher at this time. This is kind of looking at the things that have been there, are elsewhere within the park and are able to like we know that they do well here, but we're not currently looking at like bringing species further north. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I did see some trees which I think are more common down in southern Connecticut than I would see up here, but that's fine. I mean, I know they're here.
Yeah.
Hollow trees, things like that, which are much more common further south, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions from the commission?
I just wanted to ask, if Rachel, if you would mind just, emailing us the slides from tonight, that would be really helpful.
Absolutely. Yep.
Thank
Can
you.
do.
Are there any
Thank you.
public comment on this application? Don't see anything up there. No. Okay, so we have a recommendation, but it needs adjusting a bit. So who wants to have a go at that?
Okay. I'm gonna try, well, if I try this, no one else can volunteer. All right, let me see, for the project located at 235 and 28 Monument Street, a RDA file number 25-23. I move that we issue a negative determination, number 2 and 3. And with an additional one right now, all right. 2 and 3 with the following conditions. Prior to the commencement of the work, the applicant shall hold a pre-construction site visit with the DNR staff and the contractor to review proposed work. And 2, once the project has been completed, the applicant shall submit a letter to the NRC confirming that work has been completed in accordance with the RDA and noting any changes, if any. And number 3, that the applicant provide an inventory of trees to be removed and to be planted and to be reviewed annually for the next 3 years.
By December 1st.
By December 1st.
Does it,
Sound good?
it sounds good, but let me ask a question. Does it make sense to add to that, that if after we review the inventory, if we need a necessary, that we may follow up with a site visit?
Yeah. so
Right, that the commission could request, additional
And of the commission could
modifications.
request further-
if
further
desired.
changes. Yeah.
Yeah.
We add that in? Okay.
Mhm.
Do I have a second? Thank you, Ed. And the vote, Jim?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Thank you very much, Rachel.
Thank you so much for your time.
Bye. Okay. Number 3, we have an RDA for Neshoba Brook School at 200 Strawberry Hill Road. This is RDA file 26-1.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. I'm Steve McEwen, Director of Operations at the Neshoba Brook School. Here tonight to introduce Dr. Hank Bryant. He's our Director of Educational Technology and Innovation at the school, and he's also one of our faculty advisors to the Green Team. And I saw Kim Russell is also on the call. She's our other faculty advisor to the Green Team. Who's the Green Team? They're our middle school group of students who we established them a few years ago to investigate, report on areas of sustainability improvement on campus, and they present proposals to us at the school annually, and it's led to some positive projects across campus, such as posted no idle zones and some monitoring of the solar arrays we have. The RDA you have in front of you tonight is a combination of 2 years of work by the Green Team, and I'm going to turn it on over to Hank to describe the RDA in a little bit more detail.
Thank you, Steve.
Hello, everyone. I'm Hank. Thank you for having us tonight. So I do have, the attachment for the WPA for our RDA application, if you'd like me to show some of those visuals.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Yes,
Sure,
thank you.
of course. Okay, so can you all see this kind of Google Map overview?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So this just gives you an idea of where the pond that we're focusing on is kind of located on campus. So this is the Neshoba Brook School campus from the aerial view. You can see the pond kind of circled in this red circle here. So this is a retaining pond. We have our lower school playground over here and our middle school playground over here, our main academic building in the center there. So Neshoba Brooks is a 30-acre campus. We have a lot of outdoor programming for our students, and the Green Team is kind of part of this. We also host an Earth Day and do a lot of initiatives on campus to really give the students on the Green Team a voice and an opportunity to engage with our environment and be young environmental conservationists who feel like they're having a positive contribution to the school and to our community. And so in this project, what they've noticed and what we've noticed over our 10 years at Neshoba Brooks is that this retaining pond here is suffering quite a bit. So in some variations, you can see this kind of complete green cover of duckweed there. But in some variations, and I believe I have some photos below, you can see some pretty severe erosion here. So we have photos back, they're black and white photos, from when this pond was much newer. Or much younger, and it was much flatter around this entire area. So, and even in my 10 years there, we've noticed some significant erosion. So there's this fence that borders the pond here, and leading up to the fence all the way on many sides, it's just a complete slope, which this wasn't always the case. In some other areas of the pond, you can see it from this side, there are rocks that align, and this is actually just behind this this is a swamp maple or swamp oak right behind this here that actually really prevented a lot of the erosion. You can see some other plantings along this area as well. What you're not seeing in full detail here is some of the invasives that are growing up and around this this pond. And so what the Neshoba Brooks Green Team is hoping to do is just help to preserve and restore this pond a little bit back to what it was intended to be. So kind of a home to natives, and something that is helping to preserve that local environment, local ecosystem. So what we're hoping to do, it's fairly simple, get the team in there, do some hand pulling of invasive species, and then some replanting of water-loving species that are native to the environment that help to support the local fauna in the area. We do have a short list, so you can see these are kind of the planting areas. It's kind of more desolate areas, also areas of higher erosion. And what we're hoping to do is plant some of the holly joe pieweed. We hope it provides food for pollinators and helps to stabilize the soil. We have pepperbush, and we also have winterberry. So those are the three things that we were thinking would help to prevent the erosion that we've been noticing, and then also provide shelter, food for the local animals. Some other things that we were hoping to do was sort of replicate what we were seeing with the rocks in this area. We're not sure when those were installed, but those rocks or fallen trees from the surrounding area, we were hoping to install some of those around at about a 6-foot distance from the surrounding fence to again help with the prevention of erosion. So as you can see, there are some established bushes and even trees along this area, but while those are, obviously erosion controls, they're not doing as strong of a job as the additional rocks and everything are. So that's our general plan. And then there's also a few pieces of litter within the pond and surrounding it that we also want to clean up by hand. So a lot of this is, about getting our kids in there, teaching them a lesson. They've gone through this process now, filling out the applications, taking photos, investigating the scenes, researching plants, native species that they want to put in this area. And it's just been a fantastic process. And we're hoping that it comes out with them being able to kind of complete their project and inspire some of the other students on campus to do some of this work in their communities. Some suggestions from Rose that we really appreciated. One in particular was the posting of kind of information science signs around the fence. That's something that we absolutely want to do. We think that's another great way to kind of spread the message and get students interested. So that was thank you for that suggestion, Rose. I think that's pretty much it. This is a pretty simple one in comparison to Rachel's, but do you guys have any questions for us?
Thank you, Hank. This is a great project. I love the sound of the green team, and I hope that you're growing us some new NRC members for the future. But I had a couple of comments myself. First of all, I don't know if Rose discussed this with you, but a concern about your suggestion for adding native rocks and fallen trees. I understand the intention there. It's very hard for us to kind of regulate adding rocks and such like, and probably just more shrubs and native plants there would be just as effective, if not more effective. So would recommend again against bringing in more rocks. And then I had a question. This is really for Rose and Delia. In the narrative, I read that there may be some purple loosestrife that they were going to look in the spring and see if it was still there, and they may want to remove that. With purple loosestrife, I know if they're being eaten by beetles, then that's a sign they're under control, and you probably want a few plants left in order to keep the beetles alive. But I just wondered your thoughts on that. Should they just take them all out, or is this something we have to think about a bit more?
It's so the town, the land trust, the Fish and Wildlife Service did a number of beetle releases around town.
Right.
Neshoba Brook School was not an area that anyone did releases around. If it's manageable to remove those by hand,
that's just the simplest thing. Okay, that's what I wanted to check. Yeah, thank you. It's my education more than anything. Thank you. Any other questions from me or comments from the commission?
I just had a question about the erosion. So what's driving the erosion? The banks just simply aren't planted? Or is it the slope down that surface runoff is running into the pond, or?
Is the pond's filling in?
So yeah, the pond's just caving in from the sides.
Yeah.
I think it was maybe 3 summers ago, the water level rose up a considerable amount, and actually the highest I've ever seen. I've been there for 10 years now, and my mother worked there for 26 prior to me. So I have a long-standing history with Neshoba. It's the highest I ever saw it. It was all the way, we have a green bench in there from God knows when, and it was all the way past that, almost up to the fence line. It's the constant ebb and flow of the water level is
Mhm.
just causing those kind of unplanted areas to just, erode over time.
Got it.
I think if those areas are planted, that will do a lot to stabilize,
yeah.
just with the
Yeah.
roots,
Yeah, yeah.
of the woody roots,
Yeah.
holding the soil in place.
Mm.
That
Gotcha.
would help
Yeah.
a
Thank
lot.
you.
I would like to just mention, I know, Hank, we also discussed potentially straw
Oh.
wattles and things like that if needed, while planting is still going on to just as kind of a temporary measure to help reduce sedimentation and erosion. And then I was wondering if you all are still interested in potentially raising that fence 6 inches, at least in some spots, to kind of help with the connectivity with that adjacent habitat that we saw during the site visit.
Yeah, absolutely. Steve and I were just talking about that. We think it's a great idea. Thank you.
Great.
Thanks.
Yeah, Rose, you had a lot of great ideas. You should come back. Students can come hang out with you. I think it would be great to learn a little bit from you guys too. So
It was great to meet some of the green team while I was out there too, so.
Yeah, Rose has been talking a lot about what a fun visit she had, so it's good, good. Do we have any public comments on this application? No.
Hey, Sarah, I just had one last question
Yes,
about
please.
the common duckweed. I know there
Oh,
was
yeah.
a discussion about that, but is it just at this point just leaving it there at the moment
Yeah,
and not treating it?
are you clear on that, Hank, about the duckweed? I know Rose mentioned that, I think Rose mentioned that
native, yeah.
Yeah.
it's native, should stay.
He's welcome to speak on it more, and kind of the concerns, but.
sure, yeah, we completely understand. The reason we brought it up, it creates an entire barrier over the pond. We believe it's contributing to eutrophication of the pond, because it gets to be so thick. And so that was our concern, in thinking about removing some of it. But we hear your recommendations, so.
Add it to the sign.
Yeah,
No, that's a good
Good point.
idea, yeah, why you're leaving,
Yeah.
it's good.
And one other thing, I think this was also discussed, with you at the site visit was, looking at any fertilizers or amendments that are put down, which will also, if you could reduce those or have them be further from the ponds, that will limit the potential, eutrophication.
I'm glad you remembered that, yeah.
yes, thank you.
Okay, well, if there's no other comments or questions, we have a recommendation. Who's gonna take this one? Ed Stone?
Sure. Okay, I move for RDA file 26-1, order Strawberry Hill Road. To issue a negative determination of applicability number 2 and 3 with the following conditions. Number 1, prior to the commencement of work, the applicant shall hold a pre-construction site visit with DNR staff and the contractor to review proposed work. And 2, once the project has been completed, the applicant shall submit a letter to the NRC confirming that the work has been completed in accordance with the RDA and noting any changes, if any.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ben.
So do you want to include anything in here that, sections of the fence will be raised up and that, those stones and sticks, will be incorporated into the.
I think it would
Project
be
area.
good to add that no stones and sticks will be added. The fence piece is a recommendation, which I hear has been, accepted, but I don't feel we should make it a
That's fine.
condition. Does everyone
Sure.
agree with that?
So you want to add 3?
Go for it, yeah.
Sure. And adding to that, the third condition, that no stones or sticks, logs be added to the pond border.
Unless they're not gonna be consistent.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Or I have a second for Ben, thank you. Okay, the vote, Jim.
Aye.
Aye.
I
And I'm an aye as well. Good luck with the project.
All right, thank you very much. Have a great night.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you.
They're actually contractor here, or is it's
It's the books.
it's the conditions, it's the sound practice.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
We can change that and say the
Okay.
applicant.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
good
good.
catch, good catch. Okay, the last new application tonight is a notice of intent for Concord Country Store LLC at 166 Commonwealth Avenue, BP file 1371729. Who do we have representing Commonwealth Avenue?
Yeah, you can, you can come
Right
up.
up, bring your
Come up.
chair over.
Good evening. For the record, my name is John Cusick with Bowler Engineering. We have the applicants. As well as applicants from a representative from Goddard Consulting. So thank you very much for hearing this tonight. I was trying to log in, but I've got a connection failure for some reason, so probably my issue, but regardless, if you have the plans that Eric sent, that might be super helpful. But anyway, before we start, I think everyone's probably very familiar with the property, but it's 166 Commonwealth Avenue.
Sorry, which plan do you want to start with,
Oh,
the renderings or
It's
the?
just the renderings,
Okay.
sorry. Yes.
No worries.
Start with that at a high level, and I can dig into anything if you like. Anyway, it's 166 Commonwealth Ave. It's an existing fuel station and service repair. It's pretty old. I think it's not in service anymore. It's bound by Com Ave. You've got an abutting property. I'll call it Plan North, even though it's to the east. And then you've got Neshoba Brook, which is to the north left-hand side of the sheet. You can see that the entire site is pretty much paved. You'll see four snake-like lines there. Those are representing the boundaries of the resource areas. Going from left to right, you've got the 25-foot, 50-foot, 100-foot, and 200-foot. So when on site, if you walk there today, you'll notice the pavement goes all the way up to a concrete wall. Concrete wall drops right down to the brook. There's literally no buffer there. There's a little sliver at the bottom left corner. No drainage on site to speak with. Everything drains down back to the left towards the river. It doesn't really actually go over. It actually goes off site, Plan North, then into the river, and there's a little bit of an erosion problem that happens there. So a lot of opportunities with this project to make it better. Realizing that we met with town staff multiple times early on in the project just to try to get as much feedback as we can coming in with the hopes that we could come in with as strong of an application as we could and better incorporate things right off the bat. So to that end, if you could go to the next slide, thank you. We are proposing this. So essentially, same orientation of what you were just looking at, same buffer zones. But the building on site, it's essentially the existing building. I'm going to refer to Plan North, Plan South, just to make it easy on you guys. But Plan South, that wall is actually coming in a little bit. We're cutting it back and bringing the building in. And then Plan East, we're actually extending it a little bit. So it's pretty much cutting back a portion of the building and extending it. So it's more of a rectangle than a square, but the building is the building in the same location. Driveways are proposed to stay essentially where they are. We're reconfiguring them to work with delivery vehicles, fire apparatus and such, but they're in the same location, two driveways. We're rebuilding the sidewalk along the entire frontage. That was important to engineering when we met with them. There'll be a brand new sidewalk on site. We have the fuel canopy, which you can see to the front of the building. It's slightly rotated and shifted a little bit from the existing canopy. It's all going to be brand new. The canopy that's there today, the tanks, those are all being ripped out. This is all brand new. You can see surrounding the site, there's parking really on all sides. You've got 4 spaces directly in front of the building on Plan East side. got another 3 along the front of the road, kind of parallel on the right side of the plan. And then on the left side of the plan, there's 4 additional spaces, 2 of which are EV parking and 1 is accessible parking. So all told, 11 parking spaces to support the use. We have our accessible parking space right on the bottom left of the building. It's important that it's located there for accessibility. It's going to be the closest to the door. Based on the grades on the site and some of the floodplain, it was actually a pretty tricky design to get that to actually all work out. So that's why that is located there. Directly next to it is a fully enclosed trash enclosure. We worked closely with design review, materials and whatnot, but that is fully enclosed. We knew that would be important. One of the things we heard loud and clear when we met with staff was make it more green. You've got the opportunity to pull back some work within the buffer. As I mentioned before, everything was paved to the river. What you'll see now is we've pulled all of the paving out of the 25-foot buffer zone completely, with the exception of the river walk, which again was a request that we had, and it makes a whole bunch of sense. So we're now connecting the existing walk to Plan North down to the new sidewalks that we're constructing, and we added a couple of benches along the way that really hard to see in this graphic. So that has been added there, and that's really all we're doing within the 25, and it'll be much better. Within the 25 to 50, same thing, you'll see a lot more green than exists today. I'll run through those numbers in a moment. And what you probably can't see, but when you look in the detailed plans, and we don't need to go to it, I can describe it, but with that planting area to the back, we were provided some prior information, which was quite helpful, saying this is what the commission spent a whole lot of time going through. This is the intent. This is what they wanted to see. So we took that from a prior application and really tried to follow that intent. So I think there's four trees and there's dozens of shrubs back in there. We did receive a comment that 2 of the shrubs that we picked should get traded out. No issue doing that. We will on the resubmittal once we get all of the comments.
Right.
But we thought that made some sense to do. There is one tree I do want to point out on the bottom left side. We're trying to save that. That's actually existing. Based on how everything is, it is so tight there until we start construction. We just don't know if that's going to get impacted. So we're showing to save it. We're going to attempt to save it. If not, we will absolutely replace it with a new tree. But we're going to try to save that first.
What kind of tree is that?
You were going to ask. I don't know that. I should have brought my much more handsome, smarter landscape.
And while we're talking about that tree, I know there was also staff comment that the protection detail wasn't appropriate.
Yep, absolutely. But
yeah.
we incorporate that as well. We have no
Great,
issue
thank
with
you.
that. I mentioned drainage before. So again, there's no drainage on site today. Well, yeah, that's actually a much better picture. You can just see the density of the plantings back in there. It's quite extensive. And again, we really wanted to go in with our best foot forward, and staff was great telling us about, hey, this would be great if you can do this. And we worked through, well, we do this, but I'm not sure. It was very, very collaborative, and I think helped us putting what we feel is a great application forward.
Yeah, great.
Stormwater, again, no stormwater on site today. Site is very, very limited. It's hard it was hard to navigate. But essentially what we have is, and I know this is going to be reviewed by a different zoning board, but it's worth bringing it up. Two hooded deep sump catch basins within the parking lot that will capture everything so it doesn't overflow to the neighbor and cause erosion. That's what I'm dealing with now. That will then go through a water quality unit for further treatment. Don't have a huge area, but I had a little area where I have a perforated pipe with some stone to try to get something back in the ground before discharging. The discharge location was very, very difficult to pick based on the wall. I don't want to go through the wall. I don't think that was in anybody's best interest. So I had about a 30-foot area to try to get a pipe into the ground. That's why I mentioned that we're going to try to save that tree, but that pipe is what has got me a little bit concerned. So that's a highlight of some of the, I'll call it the engineering, just by way of some stats. It was in the application, but just to read that off, we're probably pulling back approximately 12% of the impervious area on site. So it's pretty substantial. Not only the back, which we focused on, the front, which really isn't I'll call it impactful to the commission from a resource standpoint, but as a resident, I think it's probably a little more impactful. The front, we wanted to make it a little more aesthetic, so you'll notice we've got a green area to the front of the driveway, and then with the parking lot, we added a little bit more, just to try to break up that sea of pavement and make it look a little bit nicer, so. That came from comments we received from staff as well. Within the 25-foot no disturb buffer, there's existing just about 1,500 square feet of pavement. When all said and done, we're gonna have about 400. That's the sidewalk. Within the 50, there's about 3660 square feet. At the end of the day, we're gonna have about 1,760. So again, pretty substantial reduction. And then going up to the 200 foot buffer, there is approximately 2,200 square foot of pavement reduction in there. So we worked really hard to try to eke out wherever we really could fit it on the site and still allow delivery and fire and all of that.
And thanks for adding in that table. I always really appreciate an impact.
Yeah, it helps to spell it out. It's
Yeah.
hard to try to find things labeled everywhere, so I'm glad that it helps.
Can I ask while you're on this, is it okay to ask a
Oh,
question?
of course,
John
of course.
walks in. I know in all of your plans, there was some fencing detail, and I couldn't work out where the fence was gonna be.
I'm not sure which fence detail, but it might have been the enclosure. Is what it may have been, depending on the fence. Could have. That's the only fence we really had was the trash enclosure perhaps.
Oh, okay.
Was there one by the?
I just wondered if it was in the
So
resource
fencing
areas.
Top
at
of the
all.
wall?
I
think there's existing fence.
There may be existing fence there, but we weren't touching the wall. I don't recall if there's existing fence in there.
I don't- I
there
think-
is.
There might be a little guardrail that's
Yeah,
not in great shape, but I don't think there's fence on top of the wall there.
I was thinking more if there was gonna be any fencing in the resource area that we would want it raised. You had somewhere where it says it will be raised by 4 inches, and we usually ask for 6 inches, but I just wasn't sure where that was
I'll
gonna
take
be.
a closer
Okay.
look at that. I'm not exactly sure where that
Okay, thank you.
where that
It's wrong.
was. But we didn't
Yeah.
we didn't want to put a fence up unless you
No.
want us
No,
to at the walk. We
no.
wanted to keep that open to
Yeah.
enjoy the
Yeah,
river.
no, that's great. Yeah, I just wasn't clear where it was. gonna be. Okay.
And then I think, from the resource areas, you're probably well aware of BW Riverfront. There is floodplains. We had to work very carefully with the calculations to get that work. There wasn't a lot of area to work within there. And then the flood elevation. So that's all spelled out within the application. And
Mhm.
in a nutshell, that's it. I could certainly dive into some additional detail.
Do you want to talk about the floodplain? You're proposing comp storage for the
Absolutely.
floodplain?
Yep.
Just to describe that a little bit, because there's no fill in the floodplain, but you're proposing comp storage.
Yep, certainly. Well, there's a tad bit of fill in the floodplain, actually. That's why we're doing the comp storage. The floodplain extends out probably to the back corner of the building at elevation 124.
I think your form says 0. So if there is fill in the floodplain, we just need that form revised.
Okay, yeah, I think it was a net. We can adjust that. I think we're showing at the end of the day, we're providing
Yeah.
extra, but we'll update the form to quantify what that is. We do have that.
So there's a little fill from the building?
It's actually more of the parking area. The building
Okay.
exists. So
Right.
we're not really doing that. It was just more of that back parking area in the walkway. Riverwalk area is within the flood zone.
Okay.
Again, I think it was elevation 124, if I'm not mistaken. So there's tiny bit of floodplain filling just for that parking area in the back. And thus we were kind of carving out some of that area to compensate it on site. We did the foot by foot analysis to show that we identified we're about 35 over. By way of next steps, so this is, we've been to the design review board, had some positive feedback and input from the board. We just submitted the application to the zoning board, which will then go to the planning for recommendation before the zoning. So we're within that, we're in that process. My thought process would be, hear whatever comments and input you folks have. We would take that, we'll gather the comments we get from ZBA, compile everything, and then bring it bring it back to you at once rather than piecemeal every member.
Great, John.
Yep.
Just so the NRC are aware, there's a couple of other comments in here of requests that actually aren't needed anymore. The alternative analysis and field data sheets, that's been addressed in case you're wondering. I just have another question. I can assume, but I hate to assume that the stockpiling of snow is going to be way outside the resource area, but can we confirm that, please?
Yeah, I mean, some of the snow is, we don't really have a whole lot of room on site, so I think a lot of it will probably get removed if it's gonna be impacting
Right.
areas, so I think it's just gonna be.
Do we need a condition to say it's not going to be in the resource area?
Well, I think that the whole site is in a resource
Yeah.
area, so I
Oh,
think
so
that there will be some, but I
What you
think.
generally have as a condition is that it would not be within 50 feet of a
Right.
resource area. So
Yes.
if it can't be, and it would be helpful if you can note on the plans where those snow storage locations
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe have signage for your snow contractors, so they're clear.
Yeah.
But generally, the condition is that any snow storage that can't be accommodated outside the 50-foot no build zone would be
Yeah.
trucked off site.
I couldn't remember if it's 25 or 50, but yes, that's great. I think it'd be good to clarify that.
Yeah.
That's my questions. Commission.
I just wanted to.
Thank you.
So there were, just some additional comments that came very last minute to you.
Yeah,
happy to
I
go
apologize, I was
through.
off, last week. An invasives management plan, so a lot of the vegetation that is adjacent to the brook is invasive. I know at least there's tree of heaven and, there's other stuff out there, so.
There's some knotweed and things like that too, so we'll intend to
Mhm.
provide an ISMP the next revisions.
Okay, that'd be
Yeah.
great. So, and then to include with that, replanting within that area where the invasives are removed.
For sure.
And it's helpful, the commission generally wants to see the area of, replanting, you know, square footage, so that it can be confirmed what the, you know, species are in terms of spacing and make sure that that's adequate. And I had asked if you can put up the plan. So the drainage and that will be reviewed as part of the site plan review with the planning board.
Yes.
And we'll have, you know, that reviewed for the commission as well. So this is, actually, if you can go to the grading, maybe the previous plan.
Okay.
Um,
So I can see the title.
or just go up, I think just one plan.
Okay.
Or two plans. Yeah, actually. So in the area on, so plan west, lower part of the site, maybe zoom in a little bit if you would, Rose. Yeah, it's hard to see this.
Yeah, I can provide a blow up detail of that area for you as well.
So that dashed line is a pipe, right? It's an underground pipe that is going to an outlet. And the last section, that's the close dash on the other side of the sidewalk is a perforated pipe
Yes,
to
that's-
allow increased infiltration. It's being placed within riprap, but that riprap is below grade, so you won't be planting that area. Is there the ability to plant it if
There'd
it's?
be some there's gonna be a structure underneath it, so you're gonna be careful of root balls and all that.
Right,
So
so
it
you
would,
won't-
it'll be planted, it's not gonna look like.
It's not gonna be riprap visible.
Correct, that area will not be riprap. As it goes right to the, you know, the
The outfall.
outlet to the,
Yeah.
to the stream of brook will be for erosion. But that area right there, and I can point to it, so it's. very-
Well, we have to point to it online so
Oh,
that
I-
people online can see.
Yeah, that's it
exactly.
right there,
Right there.
that square.
Yeah. Down the
That's
square
definitely-
down to the left.
Oh, down here.
Yeah,
Right there, yeah, that's more a graphic representation as to what's underground, that is actually gonna be grass.
so could you just give us a detail of that, what that looks like in terms of, you know, the depth below grade of what that riprap is and what will be provided above 6 inches of loam and seed or whatever that is?
Certainly.
And if it's going to be loam and seed, if that could be a native seed mix. And then you're saying that triangle that's sort of above and to the left of that
That
riprap,
will be-
that will be straight riprap.
That will be riprap because
Okay.
we don't want to wash out right next to the wall and that would be
Yep,
much bigger problems for all of us.
okay.
Yeah.
Will you have lighting?
We do have lighting that's proposed.
Lighting?
You can see the, on this plan, there's actually a lighting plan that might be better to
Okay.
show. But we do have lighting along the perimeter, some on the, underneath the canopy, obviously. Oh, maybe just might have had it.
Oh,
After the details.
In the lighting plan on the perimeter of the property, we actually obtained the details from DPW, so we're using the same lights and the same details. That's along Commonwealth.
Okay,
If
okay,
you
great,
go back.
okay.
Plans.
There, yeah,
Are they
yeah,
conducive
yes.
to wildlife or do you know?
Right, so the lumens, I did look at the lumens and they're below 7,000. But I did notice, I didn't have a chance to look at this closely, but if this plan shows a lot of the lighting being higher, closer to the brook.
I
Is
don't,
that, so,
no, I don't think so.
okay, I just saw that there was some 0.8s.
We can clarify, the intent is.
0.9s,
I
is
can-
that because, maybe it's just along the sidewalk? Is that-
I think it's
Oh,
still,
it
yeah,
might-
the sidewalk,
yeah, okay.
probably, because we put the light right at the back of the sidewalk facing into the site, so the
Okay.
intent is to light a parking lot, not behind it. I can make it clear that there'd be a shield on the backside of that.
Okay,
of
that
that
would be
light.
helpful.
Great.
And I think your lumens already demonstrate this, but if you can somehow put in something in the notes or in a manufacturer's, sheet that says that it's wildlife friendly lighting. So it's amber or whatever the color.
Did you also had a question today about the dumpster?
I had asked whether the dumpster and the handicap parking space those locations could be switched so that the dumpster was further. But you had indicated that it was for accessibility.
Accessibility,
Yeah.
yeah, it
that
has to
makes
be
sense.
the one closest
To the building, right.
that.
That makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, makes sense, okay. That was everything. You were asking what proposed LSA?
Yeah, landscaped area.
Oh, landscape area.
Yeah, that was an abbreviation we had on
Great.
the site plan.
If put that in your legend if it's not noted, just. It may be there, but if it's not, just note that.
Great. Okay, so any other questions from the commission? Are there any public comments on this application? No. Okay, well, thank you. This is very helpful and clear. Given that you're going to the planning board on February 2nd, I believe.
I think that's the planning. I don't think we have a date for.
Okay. Okay,
It'll be after, I think, yeah, I think it's, I'm not sure what that date
Okay.
is, but.
but are you okay planning to continue to the February 18th meeting? That's our next meeting.
Absolutely.
Great, okay.
So that would mean that revised materials would need to be submitted by noon on February 6th.
Great,
Excellent.
thank you. We look forward to seeing you then.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. And thank you for all the work up front. It's much easier for us. Yeah.
Okay, so the final, oh no, we've done all the applications. We're now going to talk about the violation at 148-154 Fitchburg Turnpike. Who do we have
Hello, everyone.
presenting this? Oh, Daniel, hi.
Hi. I'm going to share my screen so we can go over this together. So hello, everyone. My name is Dan Carr from Stamps McNary. I'm going to go over the wetland permitting plan for 148 to 154 Fitchburg Turnpike. And this is in response to a violation letter received by the owner for work done in the backyard without a permit. So just to take you through some history of the site, there was work done on the existing home, and the existing home and all that work for structure wise is greater than 100 feet from the buffer zone. But during construction of the addition to the home, the contractor also did some work in the backyard, removed approximately 8 trees and filled in the backyard. And according to the contractor, there was about 3 feet of fill brought in near the house that, obviously shifts back to existing grade towards the rear of the yard. So unbeknownst to the contractor working on this property, there is a wetland in the northern corner of the property. So I'm just gonna, there's a wetland in the rear of the property here that I'm outlining in green. And then there's also floodplain on the property that I'm going to outline in blue. So after receiving this letter, the applicant hired a wetland scientist to confirm the location of the wetland. So the wetland was flagged and then survey located. And then our survey crew also located both the limits of fill in the backyard and also the limits of disturbance. And it turns out there was some disturbance within the 25-foot buffer zone of 490 square feet. There was disturbance between 25 and 50 feet of about 3,000 square feet and about 10,000 square feet between 50 and 100. So in response to that violation letter, we are proposing 34 shrubs and 8 trees to replace the 8 trees that were removed. And we're also proposing pheno markers along the 25-foot buffer, which I'm just going to circle here. And in all areas within 50 feet of the wetland that were disturbed, we're proposing to seed with a New England Conservation Wildlife mix when appropriate in the spring. And we're proposing some red maple and white oak trees and some arrowwood, winterberry, blueberry, and pepperbush shrubs to go in that disturbed area. So the entire area of disturbance within the 25-foot buffer zone is proposed with a tree and 6 shrubs, and then the remaining trees and shrubs are proposed within the disturbed area of the 50-foot buffer zone. And so I know Delia had some comments this afternoon about the area of disturbance, and so we do have the square footage within each buffer zone listed here, and we estimate that the amount of fill brought to the site was about 3 feet where the area of work was done for the house, and then it slowly dissipates back to existing grade to about 1 foot, and then obviously it meets existing grade behind this area here. So what's shaded in red here is area of buffer that was disturbed. This cross hatching here is the area disturbed within 25 feet. The dot hatch is the area disturbed between 25 and 50. And then this single line hatch is the area disturbed between 50 and 100. And yeah, the contractor, the stumps were removed, so we don't know exactly how many trees were removed, but they estimated 8. There is the existing septic system in the backyard there, and there was a pool in the backyard right here that was removed previously. So there was some history of work in the backyard before this recent disturbance. And we've got a detail for the pheno markers that we're proposing along the 25-foot no disturb. And I think that covers it if you have any questions.
I have a few. Thank you, Daniel. First of all, could you tell us some more about the fill that was brought in? Where did it come from? What is it? We need to check that it's actually suitable for new planting.
Sure, I think, let me see if Fabio, are you on the call? I don't know the source of the fill, but Fabio, I think, is here who can potentially respond to that question.
Okay, the field that was bring to the side is just regular field to raise the grade. That is, I'll say, has some gravel into it, has some rock into it. Is not the finished product for grass yet because it's the winter time. And what we was planning is after on the springtime, is scrape that out, clean them up as much as we can, and prepare for grass.
So you're planning to remove the fill that you put in and replace it with a better.
Not in the outside of the buffer zone. The one where you see the septic system there towards the back at the 50 line buffer zone. That is, we're gonna be scrape that out and bring that back towards the house to keep the upper part where the shed is higher, and it's the same way was the original on the back is gonna stay the same.
But
So my concern with having Phil brought in that we don't know what the material is, we don't know the suitability for planting. It's got
Right.
gravel and rocks and, you know, whatever else. So,
Sorry to interrupt you.
sorry, excuse me. My recommendation is that fill is removed.
Yeah.
Outside, you know, within the buffer zone. And it's brought down to native, you know, the native soil, and that area is replanted. And the other thing, and this is after talking with Melanie about this today in the septic system. So this project is under construction right now. And the use of the facility has not yet been determined by the applicant. The septic system needs to be replaced.
Oh.
It's an old system. There's the system that's partially within the 25 and the 50. There's another system that's planned west of the house. You know, so there are two structures now, one of which does not have a septic system. Anyway, the septic has to be upgraded. The
Yeah.
restoration plan should be coordinated with the design of the septic. So once the facility use has been determined and a septic plan has been designed, hopefully, I mean, hopefully it's outside the 100-foot buffer zone, then, you know, the entire buffer zone should be restored. And, you know, I think, you know, we've provided in the violation letter as well as in information that we've submitted to you, Daniel, the near maps, photographs that show that the site was pretty much entirely wooded. Prior to the current ownership. And last, so if, yeah. So just give us 1 second, we're gonna pull up.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, we need to try and restore back to its.
Yeah, so this is
conditions.
so that was October of 2024.
Yep.
You can see that it's essentially wooded, and then the next one is April of 2025, and it's been completely cleared. So I think, you know, it's up to the commission how you want to proceed with the restoration, but, you know, I don't know that 8 trees and a few shrubs is.
No, I mean, the violation letter clearly says that we need a restoration plan prepared by a qualified professional. Forgive me if I misunderstood, but I don't think that's been the case. And also, as we said, you know, before, it says in the violation letter, we need to remove the fill and restore the site to its prior wooded conditions. So what you're proposing is not acceptable.
Yeah, I think maybe the narrative too, I think it all spoke about, if I recall correctly, the tree removal, that they were relatively smaller trees. I recall 6 or 8 inches in diameter, and those trees they look larger than that in terms of bulk removed, just from the visuals. And Sarah, just for clarification, when you say removal of the fill.
Yeah.
And then maintain that elevation of the natural elevation that was there prior to the work beginning, correct? or would you?
Yeah, I
You
wasn't
could,
sure
you could
whether-
I mean, this is up to the commission, but you know, there's been a lot of equipment in the back.
Yeah.
So there's likely compaction.
Yeah.
You might
Yeah.
wanna have some additional material removed and some, you know, clean loam brought in, you know.
I would like some clean loam brought in, I would think otherwise, yeah, because when you replant it all, if you just put it in compacted soil, that's not gonna work so well.
Yeah.
So, you know, you've heard our comments about Phil, about we need a professional landscape professional to put together a restoration plan. And we'd like this submitted for the next meeting, please. Which is February
Will
18th.
do.
Oh, no, we want it submitted by February 18th. For the March 11th meeting.
Does that make sense?
Wait,
Yeah, I
yeah,
think
February
they're gonna
26th
need
would be
some time.
pretty.
Yeah, you need a bit of time, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did we forget anything? Okay,
So could you confirm that you can submit these changes by February 18th?
It says February.
Sorry, I read the wrong notes.
Yeah, on page 12.
That should work. If not, I will reach out to you, Delia, and let you know soon.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you.
We're making good progress here. So we have one certificate of compliance for tonight.
Good to go.
Good to go. We need a vote.
Mhm.
Could you have a motion, please?
All right, I move that we issue a certificate of compliance to 241 Barrett's Mill Road, DEP file 137-1651. Second.
Thank you, and the vote.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Okay, so we're now coming on to our last agenda item, which is the Warner's Management Committee member appointments. So how we're going to do this is I'm going to make a few statements.
Beatriz,
What was that? Fabio, could you mute, please?
yes.
Thank you. I'm going to make a few statements. We'll have an NRC discussion. I'll then open for public comment. And we plan to have a vote at the end. So, okay. So I'd like to start by outlining our process towards making recommendations for the Warner's Pond Management Committee appointments. After receiving the Warner's Pond Task Force report, we spent several NRC meetings refining the management committee charge until I think everyone was comfortable.
I'm sorry, I don't want to stop you, but when do we make it clear that Bill is recusing himself from this discussion?
That's right.
I am,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's recusing.
Okay, just so
We have to send him out the room. but-
No, I don't think that. All right, I just don't think I can do that.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay,
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, we discussed that at the
Sorry.
last meeting, yeah. So we refined the charge until I think everyone was comfortable. For example, we agreed to increase the management committee term to 5 years and also to increase the number of management committee members to 7. The Warner's Pond Management Committee charge is focused solely on efforts to restore the pond. The NRC has moved on from the discussion of alternatives, which includes any discussion about dam removal, and the Warner's Pond Management Committee will not be discussing this topic since they will focus on the new charge. Following the adoption of the charge, we advertised for applicants and we received 9 applications for 7 positions. Jim, Rose, and myself served as the interview panel. All candidates were asked the same questions, and since we understood that there were strong opinions regarding the various alternatives discussed by the task force, we wanted to ensure that all potential members of the management committee clearly understood the charge of the management committee, and that they were committed to preserving and protecting the pond and would not be distracted from their task by matters which were not in the charge of the Warners Pond Management Committee. All recommended appointees confirm their understanding of the charge and their commitment to the charge while serving on the Management Committee. As identified in the charge, we recommend appointment of one NRC representative, current or former, one former Warners Pond Task Force representative, one Friends of Warners Pond representative, and 4 at-large representatives with relevant expertise in pond management, water quality, aquatic ecology, environmental monitoring, ecological restoration, biodiversity, recreation, civil engineering, climate resilience, and/or community history. We believe that the selected members exhibit many of these preferred skills listed in the charge. After we announced our nominees for the committee, we received several letters from citizens concerned with our recommending Alyssa Brown and Carleen Hempel because they have both previously spoken out in favour of dam removal. These letters were also sent to the Select Board, who also heard a public comment about this at yesterday's Select Board meeting. We engaged in additional discussions with Alyssa and Carleen, specifically addressing their commitment to the charge of the Warners Pond Management Committee, and satisfied ourselves that both are willing to move on from the discussion of alternatives and join their fellow committee members in directing their energies to the restoration of the pond. We are therefore continuing to recommend the original 7 nominees. Finally, term length was assigned in alphabetical order by last name. Members may serve 2 full 3-year terms. Terms assigned for less than 3 years do not count towards this limit, so members assigned for 1- and 2-year terms may serve as needed for 2 3-year terms following their initial appointment. Okay, so I'd now like to hear comments from the NRC.
I guess I'll start just because I was a member of the vetting group. I think that I completely agree with the comments that Sarah made. I'm not going to restate them again. I'll only say that I think that there is, in my mind, that when alternatives are presented with respect to a project, and people take different views with respect to those alternatives, that the fact that you took a view that your view was that the better of the alternatives was not the winning alternative, I don't think disqualifies anyone from saying, okay, I lost, and now I go and I do the next thing. I've been on Concord boards for 28 or 30 of the 43 years I've lived in town. I've lost a lot of fights, and I won a lot of fights. And, I think the people who've had those things, when it's the next thing to do, they go do the next thing. And I think we tried very hard with every single one of the applicants to make sure that the understanding was this was the task. And every applicant really confirmed that they were on board with this being the task. So then the next question is, how do you choose among people? If you have 2 people, you look at various qualifications. As Sarah read, some of the things that we were trying to find among qualities of people. And then you try to make a decision based on that. And then I think in very good faith, we tried to do that. So that's the recommendation.
Thank you, Jim.
Malcolm has his hand raised as well.
Okay.
Sorry, I just wanted to really support what was just said. I mean, the task force ultimately made a recommendation which you've just outlined, and I think that whatever has been said in the past is in the past. The committal now is to trying to find ways to restore the pond, and I think everybody I know who has been recommended for this is committed to that. So I support what you're saying.
Thank you, Malcolm.
Yeah, and I think I would just add, I agree with your comments, both Jim and Sarah and Malcolm. And I know, at least reading some of the letters, some of it was directed towards Alyssa and Carlene. And while I do not know Carlene, I do know Alyssa both professionally from my business in the past when she was a scientist and project manager on some of our real estate efforts on environmental cleanup. I've attended a lot of conservation meetings with her, where she's displayed a lot of, obviously, knowledge about invasives, water quality, drainage, etc. I think she would be a valuable member of the team. I also think that, having gone through a review process and committing to the charge, I would take that at face value. I think she's very concerned about sustainability and environmental concerns, and I think she's just at this point looking to assist on that wider program of Warner's Pond ecology and recreational capacity, right? So I don't think there's anything, as you said, the past is the past, and now the focus is on, the betterment of Warner's Pond.
I did not pay close attention, a little bit of attention, but close attention to the, what was going on in the past. But I think as we go forward, it's really important to have a good diversity of people, and especially to have one-on-one people who really understand ecology and how best to get things done.
Thank you. Okay, so if there's no further comments from the commission, I'll open for public comment. But I'd like to start with a statement from Paul Baum, our NRC liaison, because he received all the letters of concern as well. And he's asked me to read out this statement tonight because he's away and he wasn't able to join. So this is Paul's words. So first, I'm sorry that I cannot attend this meeting. As a select board liaison to the NRC, I have discussed, read, and understand the concerns of members of our community. I have carefully monitored and observed not only the process for appointing members to the NRC itself, but also the process of vetting and selecting potential appointees to the new Warner's Pond Management Committee. In addition, I know all of the proposed appointees and have spoken with the 2 prospective members for which concerns have been raised due to their prior support for dam removal option during the work of the Warner's Pond Task Force. The selection of members to this new committee was based on a commitment that all new members were fully committed to the mission of the new committee, that is to plan actions and to collect information and analyze that information to determine if aggressive management actions could improve the ecological conditions and recreational opportunities of the pond. Based on my conversations with Alyssa and Carlene, I'm confident that they and the others will all be on mission during the important period ahead. Therefore, I can state that I am fully supportive of the process and decisions of the NRC chair and members of the NRC that led up to the appointments to the new committee. In addition, please be assured that I and you, the public, will observe and be able to assess this commitment during the committee's challenging work over the next 5 years. Okay, so that was from Paul, and I now open up for any additional public comment. Please, could you state your name and address, please?
Yes, my name is Diane Perlman and I live at 237 Commonwealth Ave. I am very concerned about the formation of Warner's Pond Management Committee. I believe it is being set up to fail by the appointment of people who want to see the dam removed and the pond lost. Members of the Friends of Warner's Pond have sent emails to you and spoken to the chair, but we are not aware that anything has changed, as you're making very clear. And I really hope you will still take this matter seriously. I want to bring this to everyone's attention. One of the people on the White Pond Task Force was very difficult to work with, to such a degree that the rest of the group asked for that person's removal, although that was denied. In the end, that person did not agree with the consensus opinion of the group, and rather than accept the process, they wrote a dissenting recommendation without notifying the rest of the group and submitted it to the select board at the very last minute, thus undermining the work and validity of the group. Despite this behavior, this same person is being selected to be part of the Warner's Pond Management Committee. This person is strongly in favor of dam removal and has been very vocal publicly about this position. I do not believe that this person is going to work towards keeping the ponds in as good condition as possible. There are some very qualified people who want to be on this committee. Why bring someone back who wants to remove the dam and was so disruptive to the committee process?
Thank you.
Anna Feldwood, 343 Commonwealth Avenue. I'm the chair of the WCAC, but I'm speaking on my own behalf. I think that sometimes people say one thing and their actions say something else. And in that situation, normally we look at their actions. I'm wondering if Carlene and Alyssa are going to recuse themselves from all their other activities that are pro-dam removal while they're on this committee, because otherwise that would be a pretty strange situation to be in. Carlene just produced a video talking about why dam removal is the right way to go. Will she take that down, or will she keep creating videos? These are fair questions. Maybe they can be taken back to them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not aware that there is any activity going on around dam removal anywhere now, so, but I guess the committee can discuss that in their first meeting, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not aware of any of that.
Yeah, Vicky Alani, Commonwealth Avenue. And to follow up, I think, on Anna's comment, I think it is important that everyone on this committee moving forward move away from discussing dam removal as an option. So when they go to ORS meetings, they should not be talking about dam removal as the preferred option for ORS, for Warner's Pond. When they go to a SOASCO meeting, they should not be talking about dam removal as the preferred option for Warner's Pond. Everyone on this committee needs to be focused publicly and at the committee level with preserving Warner's Pond, or else we cannot believe that they are working to one end. And so that's what we are looking towards for you, to help them to see the right way of behaving on a task force or a committee, because they have not always behaved that way when they've been on other committees, and it's been very disruptive. So we need everyone to row in the same direction in these 5 years. It's imperative, and we're very concerned, as you know. And so these are points now that it looks like you've made up your mind. We need these things to be clarified, and we need those people to be told what the expectations are of serving on this committee.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Stand up. Connie Levine, I live at 149 Stowe Street. And I've read all 7 letters that were submitted to the board about these 2 candidates. And I have several questions. One of my questions is, it sounds like you had 5 people that were for the pond that, were not interested in removing it, and yet you wanted to add 2. So were you trying to add 2 so you could get a couple more people that weren't for the pond? I'd like to hear your rationale for why you expanded it, that number 1. And then my other issue is, of course, Delia has come out publicly at the hearing that she is in favor of draining the pond. People know that. I've read Anna's letter, and she has all kinds of quotes that these 2 women have made about removing the pond. And it says, and also I read a letter by Enid Hart Boasberg, and she says, the explicit charge of the Warner's Pond Management Committee mandates that committee members should all be committed to preserving and protecting the pond. Now, these people that have gone on record and they've attended a lot of the task force meetings saying they want the pond, they think the pond should be drained. Why would you think it's a good idea to bring in these people unless, and I think I raised this question to you guys last time I was here. I said, how many people on this NRC committee are for the pond and how many are against? And you know what? No one would answer me. So I really want to know, it's very unfair to the townspeople, you know, for you to be doing things if you're doing it because you guys want to drain the pond. And I think you have to be honest with people. And as far as the comments last night to the select board, it was Holocaust night, and there was only allowed one person to speak about Warner's Pond, and the rest were anti-Semitism comments, which of course no one wanted to interrupt them because they were very important.
Thank you.
But I think you have to be honest with the townspeople, and you also should look at your own situation. You know, a lot of time and effort has been invested into this task force, and everybody, we all want it, all of the citizens and people were overwhelmingly for
And
the
Connie, we
pond.
are moving forward with a charge that the task force recommended, so thank you for your comments. We're
Yes,
listening.
I think you should think it through, and I think there should be another meeting with the select board and with, it says the select board and the town manager, to see if it does make sense to have these two people, one of which we just found.
I've just read a statement from
disrupted,
Paul from the
you know,
select board,
so I
don't,
think
and you're not gonna discuss this anymore. Thank you for
Make
your
a
comments.
decision, I don't.
Okay, we have more
decision now,
questions.
because I think you've gotten enough information that you're making a bad decision for the townspeople.
Thank you for
Maybe
your
not
comments.
But for us.
Jill, you had a comment, I see your hand raised. Oh, did she disappear? I bet she pressed the wrong button by mistake.
Sorry, Jill,
Hey,
Jill
hi, Jill.
O'Sullivan, 42 Losbrook Road. It surprises me that two of the most virulent, the strongest, I think they were the two strongest dam removal proponents, would be interested in joining a committee that is committed to preserving the pond. It does seem an unusual flip in intention. I hear and appreciate what's been said tonight, but I cannot honestly say that I'm not concerned about decisions being made that might honestly not be in the interest of pond preservation. We only have 5 years to make progress, and if someone who is not interested in showing that progress is on the committee, they will be able to drag out that time and not utilize that time in a way that is committed to preserving the pond. I think there's something very odd going on here. I understand the statement that people can recommit themselves to a new perspective and mission, but considering just how difficult to deal with and how difficult it was to work with these people on the task force, it seems curious that two of them have been brought on to this committee. Curious. I'm not confident.
Thanks, Joe, for your comments. I'll just end with a final comment, just to remind everybody that we have a committee of 7. There's obviously concerns about 2 that we're recommending, but it's 2 of 7. So let's wish the committee luck with their charge and wish them luck.
Yeah, and I want to make just a couple more statements. I mean, first is that I think that we had originally proposed a committee of 5, and we had really overwhelming comments from all sorts of people in the public that it was not a big enough committee. So I think that we were really responding, I think that the board was responding to that. I think the second thing is that obviously the board, the commission voted to accept the task force, and I think recommendation, and I think that it's important to take that as the value of what it is, which is that we were supportive of the recommendation. There are people on this commission who had various views along the way about various things, but we voted unanimously to support the recommendation. And we voted unanimously to support the charge. And I think that that's, you know, what our task force is. And then the third thing I'll say, and I think it's right, is that obviously this is a committee that will have some work to do. It's going to have some work to do in terms of being, you know, spending good time at the beginning of its work to organize itself in a way that'll be efficient in terms of dealing with the charge, getting there as quickly as possible, doing the things that they have to do, demonstrating like all public bodies have to do, that they are on task and headed in the direction of the task. And I think this committee will do it. And I think every commission has to do that. I think every commission and board and town has to do that. But obviously it's a task to do.
Okay. We have another comment. Oh, Mike O'Sullivan, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, this is Mike O'Sullivan, also at 42 Lawsbrook Road. You know, at the beginning of this session, I was listening carefully to the position of the NRC and the commission, and you know, I thought you took a reasonable position in terms of expanding and talking about having people move on to the next phase of this project. But then, frankly, you know, listening to the comments from my fellow townspeople, I feel like you're looking to just gut this out. You're not listening to the very real concerns of these people, and you're just going to brazen this ahead and put these people on a committee when it's clear that their intent is not just to in terms of what they're doing with Warner's Pond, but they have ongoing intent and ongoing beliefs around pond removal that are inconsistent with pond preservation. And you guys are just going to not respond, remain unresponsive as a town management and NRC committee, and brazen this out. And I think it's unacceptable. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Jeff Collins, I see your hand is up.
Hi, thank you. Jeff Collins, 55 Highland Street, and former member of the Warner's Pond Task Force. The recommendation from the task force sort of set up this concept of adaptive management as a scientific experiment, and to seat this committee to engage in adaptive management, setting objectives, data collection, testing, to establish whether adaptive management can in fact improve the ecological and recreational conditions of the pond. I don't think anybody should fear objective assessment of that work. And so seating a diverse community-wide team that brings a variety of perspectives and expertise to the task, when everyone has responded clearly in your interviews that they're committed to that charge, I don't think there's anything to fear. And I think by trying to stack a committee is demonstrating a fear over, you know, ultimately my skepticism I've shared in other public meetings that I don't think Warner's Pond conditions will be improved by accessible methods. So, and just a couple other things. A couple of people spoke up implying that some of the members being questioned here, Elisa and Carlene, were members of the task force and problematic and wanted to be kicked off, or people wanted to kick them off. And neither of them was a member of the task force. I don't think Carlene attended many meetings, and I don't remember anyone being problematic in those meetings. So, and finally, I haven't worked on town committees with Lisa. I've worked on the West Concord Advisory Committee with Carlene, And the task force or the committee members will find nobody who's going to work harder on a committee than Carleen Hempel. I can assure you that. Thank you.
Jeff? Okay, I think we're at the end of the public comments.
This is Brooks Reed. I'd like to say something.
But yes, please go ahead.
I tried to raise my hand, but it didn't seem to work. So
Yeah, you have a terrible echo, Brooks. I don't know if you can hear it.
I do. Let me see if I can get rid of it. Is that better?
Yes.
Sounds better.
Okay. So my personal experience with Carleen Hempel is that when she was on the Trails Committee, she admitted that my signs on Estabrook Road are none of her business, but she made it her business to try to have my signs removed. It's in the minutes of the Trails Committee. I'll read them to you. While not under the Trails Committee's jurisdiction, Carleen thought it was important to note that there is now an audio component to the protest signage along the Estabrook Road entrance to Estabrook Woods. So she knew full well this was none of her business, and she made it her business. And I think this is typical of Carleen. We've also had her harassing our neighbors on Estabrook Road. She's extremely inappropriate. And I want to be strongly object to what she's to her inclusion on the committee.
Thank you for your comments. I don't think I can see everybody. Is that it? Their hands. Okay. Okay, Anna, have you had your hand up? No? Okay. Are we ready to move to a vote? Yeah. I need a motion.
I would move that we nominate the 7 people listed in the agenda filled to the Warner's Pond Management Committee, being Phil Brewer, 132 Wright Road for a 1-year term, Alyssa Brown of 501 Concord Green for a 1-year term, Christine Denaro, 189 Commonwealth Avenue for a 1-year term, Carleen Hempel, 50 Highland Street for a 2-year term, Bill Kameza, 28 Davis Court for a 2-year term, Nick Pappas, 1743 Monument Street for a 3-year term, and Dan Stapleton, 20 Conant Street for a 3-year term.
Second that.
Thank you. And Jim?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Now we're going to adjourn this meeting. Thank you.